Hello, good morning. Is your favorite psychologist, Nwaebiem-Your. In our teachers community, the conscious educator, we've been getting a lot of questions on classroom management. School has resumed and people are settling in. So I believe that's why all these questions are coming. New learners, new rules and everything. So I want to answer those questions now. The first question I received is on managing noisy and disruptive classroom without resorting to corporal punishment, flogging, and the rest. Strong classroom management is based on consistency, structure, relationship, and positive reinforcement. I take it again. Proper classroom management is based on structure, consistency, relationship, and positive reinforcement. I normally advise teachers the first 2 weeks of resumption should be used to set clear structure. Be consistent about it, because these first 2 weeks are foundational. Whatsoever the learners get to imbibe in these first 2 weeks determines how the how they are going to relate with you, be in the classroom, their behavior in the classroom. So it is better to set your structures early. Let expectations be made known early. So in order to manage a noisy classroom, and I must say this, whatsoever advice I'm giving here is based on general principle. In educational psychology, we believe in dealing with the peculiarity, the uniqueness of every individual or a group. So whatsoever I'm giving out now is based on general principles. So one of the first things to do for that particular class is to set your rules collaboratively with the students. Establish clear expectations from day one. There is this worksheet I had wanted to give out, and hopefully when we are going to have a proper section on classroom management, I will give it out. Worksheet on how to set clear expectations in the classroom. You have to do it together. Let it be a collaborative effort. Sometimes involving students, involving your learners in creating these rules gives them a sense of ownership. So set clear rules collaboratively, sit with them in class, let them be part of that particular decision. Okay? Then be specific. And if you are dealing with learners, especially in the early years, please avoid the use of avoid framing your rules in negative. In the negative, something like don't make noise. Instead of using don't make noise, use something like raise your hands before speaking, or use inside voices during group work. Do you understand? Avoid framing in the negative. Then let the rules be posted somewhere that will be visible in the class. When we have that particular section, I think this calls for it. When we have that particular section on classroom management, I'm going to give out the worksheet. You go make the rules with your class. So number one is establish clear expectations from day one. Do this from day one. In fact, that should be the first thing you do in your class. Establish clear expectations. Then Try as much as possible. The number two thing is try as much as possible to use non-verbal signals for noise control. Non-verbal signals, something like hand signals, say you know how you are going to, you can do this thing, do it in such a way that they understand. Do you understand me? Do it in such a way, maybe a raised hands, a peace signal. So as you are setting that as you are setting those expectations, those goals, those classroom rules and regulation with your learners, let it be also part of what you do this thing you come up with. Let it be part of what you come up with. The hand signals, let it be non-verbal. Another one, you can use a kind of call and response technique, something like class, yeah, things like that, so that when they are making noise, once you class, yeah, things like that, they know what you are doing this thing. What you are trying to avoid is raising your voice. You are trying to avoid raising your voice because it gets you to a point where you're emotional dysregulated. You are also trying to avoid you are trying to avoid raising your voice. The other one, you are trying to avoid being harsh. It doesn't accomplish anything. So use that call and response. Use a bell or a chime, clapping patterns, visual clues, things like that. But using non-verbal signals for noise control is very necessary. It's very good. Then the next one is structure activities to minimize downtime. Let me say it this way. An unstructured time often leads to noise. When you notice they normally make noise when they are less busy. So, but if you structure your work and also keep them engaged, it helps to minimize noise making, especially for those in the early years. So at every point, even when they are not doing the main tasks assigned to them, make sure they are engaged. Things like puzzles, playing with dough, things like that. When they are less busy, you can place them in groups, give them a task they can do. It keeps them busy, keeps them learning. So that is it. Structure your activities to minimize downtime. Another thing you do is to use positive reinforcement. There are so many ways to do that. Praise, the normal classroom stars, and things like that. So it can also help. Positive reinforcement. I want to point this out. Consistency is key. At first, they might not be imbibing those classroom rules, but if you are consistent. I remember a particular situation where, the normal me, I want you to remember that consistency is the key. One thing about me, when I was in the classroom, what I normally do, I set my rules and I make sure for that first 2 weeks. I remember a particular student, at the end of the term, I normally do a kind of self-appraisal. I see it with the students. Is there anything? And this particular student was like, the way you started with us this time, you were very strict with us. I said, yes, I had to, so that for the rest of the term, you know what to expect, and you be in line. So consistency is the key. For the first 2 weeks, be consistent. Even after that first 2 weeks, be consistent. So if follow through on both rewards and consequences every time, so that your students know what to expect. They know, okay, if I do this, this is what is going to happen. So another thing you have to do is use proximity. Move around the classroom regularly. Move around. Stand beside those students that make noise a lot. Stand beside them. You don't necessarily need to talk. Another one is making eye contact. Like I said, all these non-verbal clues will help you not to raise your voice, thereby being emotionally dysregulated. In order to stop noise, you are also making that noise yourself. So again, for the chronic noise makers, avoid embarrassing them in front of the class. Avoid. If a child who is a chronic noise maker, in most cases, those children, if you make them know that they are the problem in your class, they love those attention. Children love attention. Children love attention. So if you make them know that you are paying attention to them, you get it. They'll keep doing that. So do not embarrass them in front of their peers, in front of the students, other learners. Talk to them privately. Talk to them during break. Do you understand? And also try and find out why they are making that noise. Do you understand? Also, there is something I call behavior contract. After you've talked to them, use that behavior contract. Let them sign if need be. I mean, for the chronic noisemakers. So again, create engaging lessons. If you notice that the lesson is not engaging, try as much as possible to recreate it. Do you understand? You notice the children are becoming bored, do something. So create engaging lessons. Then use time out and logical consequences. I remember I didn't know this works, but I've applied it in a classroom setting and it really worked. Not for young learners, for preteens and teenagers. Anytime they start being disruptive when I am in the class, I sometimes tell them things like, I feel disrespected. And sometimes when I tell them, I notice they do this thing. It normally helps them. It calms them down, makes them start paying attention again, or stop whatever they are doing. So I ask them, how will you feel if I disrespect you? I remember a particular time where a student was required to make a presentation in class, and class was being disruptive. I had to pause and I talked to them. How will you feel if you're standing in front of the class trying to, do you understand, things like that? They said we had feel bad. I said, you are doing this to this particular student. Things like that. Be respectful. Be respectful. And whenever you are giving consequences, make it logical. If they are being disruptive, especially when they are not doing anything, call them in front of the class. Share a story. Do this. What do you understand? Things like that. make the consequences logical. Time in, time out are also good. So build relationships. Build relationships. Students or learners behave better with teachers they respect and they trust. So learn their names quickly, show care, be interested, be fair. Be fair. In that particular environment, when you now talk to that particular learner, he or she understands, he or she tries to behave. Thank you very much. That's all for this particular question. If any other bonus tips, I will drop it in the group. Thank you very much.